Okay. Okay, so go to your next completely empty page, and if you'll go up in the margin. Okay, first of all, let's quit talking. I just need you to turn to your next empty page and go up to the margin. Okay, and you're only gonna write in the margin because we're gonna glue something underneath. And if you go below the margin, then you're going to cover that up with something that we're gonna add in there in a second. Okay, so again, we're up here in this empty space. Okay, up here in this top part. Okay, and we're gonna write two things up here. So like the first thing we write, you wanna put it far enough up that you can also put something underneath it. Okay, so again, what we're getting ready to put it up here close to the top because we need everything up here because we're getting ready to cover the rest of this sheet with something that we're gonna cut out. All right, so at the very, very top of your page, if you'll write classifying triangles. Okay, classifying triangles, the very, very top. Okay, classifying triangles. Okay, and then underneath that, you're gonna put sides here. I'll put sides on one side and put angles on the other side. Okay, sides and angles. And then you can put your composition book to the side because we're gonna cut something out that we're gonna glue in there in a second. So I'm gonna come around and give everybody this yellow sheet. And so again, you can just set your composition book aside for a second because we're gonna be on this yellow sheet and then in a minute we'll glue it in. Okay, so you're gonna need your scissors and you're gonna need your colored pencils. Okay, scissors and colored pencils. Okay, first thing I need you to do, and all you gotta do is just follow directions and I'll tell you what to do. First thing you're gonna do is every time you see a dotted line, you're gonna cut from there into that solid line. So you're gonna do that 4 times because you see 4 dotted lines. So cut from the dotted line into that solid line on every time you see that. So that's 4 times on here. Okay, so cut that first. All right, so after you've cut all of these, okay, so you have these flaps. So I'm looking at the blank side. I'm gonna fold all of these inwards like this. So all of them are going towards the center so that you've got 6 flaps. Okay, so like I folded this side and so this side's gonna come in too. So you're gonna fold them all towards the center. Okay, and then after you do that, pick a colored pencil to start with. And we're gonna write underneath each flap. Okay, so again, pick a color to start with after you fold it. Well, you can switch colors each time, so that means you're gonna need six colors. So pick 6 colors to. Yeah, again, you should have this once you get done folding. So you're looking at the front, and then you'll open each one. Okay, so triangles have 2 names. So I kind of like to think of it as like we have a first and last name. A triangle has a first and last name. Okay, a triangle has a first and last name. So the first name of the triangle is by its sides. So that's why you put sides on here, because in a minute, when we glue this in, when we glue this in a minute, okay, one side of our thing that we just wrote is going to say sides, and the other one's going to be angles. Okay, so first thing is triangles are named by their sides. So the first name a triangle can have is, you see it there, an equilateral triangle. Okay, so that's this right here. So equilateral triangle has 3 sides all the same length. So underneath equilateral triangle, peel it back, and you're going to put all 3 sides are the same length. Okay, an equilateral triangle has all 3 sides the same length. Okay, so write that underneath equilateral triangle. So that's your first choice for the first name of a triangle is equilateral. Okay, all of its sides, 3 equal sides. Okay, so underneath equilateral, you're just going to put 3 equal sides. So if a triangle has 3 equal sides, its first name is equilateral. Okay, and then let's look at the next choice you have. So again, just get a different color.
Is it the right triangle?
We're going down the... Okay, so the next one, oh, and one other thing underneath equilateral, let me give you a little thing that will help you remember equilateral. So a capital E, okay, when you write a capital E, these 3 are the same length. And so that's an easy way to remember that equilateral is the triangle that has 3 equal sides. Because a capital E has 3, these are all the same length. And so you can put a capital E under there just to help you remember, oh, equilateral. That has all sides the same length. Okay, the next choice you have is kind of a funny word, but it's you say it just like it is spelled. Okay, the second thing is isosceles. And if you look at this, you say it just like it's spelled, isosceles. An isosceles triangle has 2 sides that are the same length, but one of them's not. So underneath isosceles, put 2 sides the same length. Okay, 2 sides are the same length. So if 2 sides are the same length, its first name is isosceles. Okay, 2 sides the same length. Okay, so if all 3 sides are the same, its first name is equilateral. If only 2 sides are the same, its first name is isosceles. And again, I'll give you a little thing to help you remember isosceles. So when you draw a capital I, okay, this line and this line are the same length. And so an isosceles triangle has 2 sides the same length. Okay, so the capital I will help you remember, oh, these 2 are the same length. So isosceles has 2 sides the same length. Okay, and then you have one other choice, and that is scaling. Scaling means no sides are the same length. Okay, none of its sides are the same length. So underneath scaling, put no sides that are the same length. It has all different sides. Okay, scaling. So its first name, you have 3 choices, equilateral, isosceles, or scaling. Okay, and I'll give you a little thing to help you remember scaling. So when you draw an S, it has no sides because it's all curved. So it has no sides, so it has no sides the same length. Okay, so a capital S will help you remember scaling. It has no sides, so none of its sides are the same length. Okay, so that's your choices for the first name of a triangle is equilateral, all sides the same, isosceles, 2 sides are the same, or scaling, no sides are the same. Okay, and then all triangles have a last name or a second name. Okay, and it's by its angles. So if you look at the angle side, the first one you have is right. Okay, we talked the other day about what a right angle is. It's a like L-shaped. So if it has a right angle in it, its second name is right. So all you have to put underneath that is it has one right angle. So if it has a right angle, its second name is right. Okay, if it has a right angle, its second name is right. Okay, so let's look at this triangle right here. None of its sides are the same length, so that tells you its first name. And it has a right angle, that tells you its second name. So what would the name of this triangle be if none of its sides are the same length and it has a right angle in it? What would the name of this triangle be, Lucas?
It would be a
Scalene right. Exactly. This is a scalene right triangle. None of the sides are the same, and it has a right angle in it. Okay? This one has 2 sides that are the same. okay? Because these two sides are the same length, and it has a right triangle in it. So what would it be named if it has two sides the same length, and it has a right triangle in it? Jameson. And isosceles right. Exactly. Okay, so you just look at the triangle and you say, what kind of sides does it have, and then what kind of angle? So if it has one right angle, its second name is right. Okay? All right, let's go to the next one. All right, so an acute, and this is an easy way to remember acute, an acute angle, okay, is an angle that's smaller than a 90 degree. It's smaller, okay? And so how I think of it is, oh, it's a cute little angle. It's little. It's a cute little angle. So acute. So if it's smaller than a right, okay, like here's smaller than a right, here's smaller than, and so on. If it has three acute angles in it, if all three are acute, its second name is acute. Okay, so these have all angles that are acute. So look at this triangle right here. It has two sides the same length, and every angle in it is acute. So what kind of triangle would this be if all, or two of its sides only are the same length, and it has all acute angles in it? Monica. Isosceles acute.
What do we write in the acute?
Three acute angles. Its second name is acute if it has three acute angles. If every angle in it is acute, again, remember acute means smaller than 90. 90 is an L shape, so if it's smaller than that, so think of it, oh, it's a cute little angle, it's small. Then if it has all three acute, then its second name is acute. So if it's right, it's right. If it has one right in it, then it's right. If all of them are acute, it's acute. And then we have one more choice. Okay, an obtuse angle is an angle that's bigger than 90. So it's not L-shaped, it's wider than that. If a triangle has one obtuse, so look at these two examples, both of these, see that's bigger, that opens up bigger than just an L shape, it opens bigger than that right there. So if it has an obtuse, that one has one there and that one has one there. If it has one obtuse angle in it, its second name is obtuse. So under obtuse, it just has to have one obtuse angle. Okay, so if it has one obtuse, it is obtuse. Look at this triangle right here. None of its sides are the same length, and it has an obtuse angle in it. None of its sides are the same length, and it has an obtuse angle. So what would this be called, Graham?
Scaling obtuse.
Scaling obtuse. Okay, so basically you just look at its sides, figure out what its first name is, and then you look at its angles to figure out its second name. Okay, so now we're going to glue that, and you want to especially get around the edges really well. You're going to glue that right here underneath where we wrote classifying angles, sides and angles, and then when you glue it in, it's going to have the sides under the sides and the angles under the angles. So you've got everything you need. So keep that out because we're going to look at some triangles and see if we can figure out what they're named. Okay, so you can keep that out while we look at this. So get that glued in really well. Okay, so let's look at some triangles and see if we can figure out what they're named. Okay, and I'll turn the front light off so you can see a little better. All right, so this top triangle up here. Okay, this top one up here in the corner. First you look at its sides. You see that it has no sides the same length. And then look at its angles. Okay, so what would we name, what would be the name of that triangle up there? Again, you look at it and none of its sides are the same. And then look at its angles to see if it has a right angle in it, it's right. If it has all acute, it's acute. And if it has one obtuse, it's obtuse. So, Graham, what would we name that angle right here?
Scaling right.
It's scaling, no side's the same, right, because it has a right angle in it. Scaling right is correct. Okay, look at the next one. It has two sides that are the same length, and then look at its angles. Okay, it has two sides that are the same length, and then look at its angles. Again, if it has a right, it's right. If it has all three acute, it's acute. If it has an obtuse, it's obtuse. So, Annika, what would we get for that one?
Isosceles obtuse.
Yeah, obtuse is open bigger than 90. So it would have to have an angle in it that opens wider than an L shape.
So acute.
It's isosceles acute. Okay, every angle in it is acute. Okay, look at the next one. We have all sides the same length, and then look at its angles. Okay, all sides the same length, and then look at its angles. So, Graham, what would we get?
Equilateral obtuse.
Yes. All right, I want everybody to listen because this is super important. If it's equilateral, if all of its sides are the same length, all of these have to be acute. So basically, if it's equilateral, you don't even have to think about the second name. If it's equilateral, what's its name going to be?
Acute.
Equilateral acute. Yeah. If you see an equilateral, you automatically know that the second name is going to be acute because you can't make an equilateral triangle that doesn't have acute angles in it. Okay, let's look at this one. No side's the same, and then look at its angles. No side's the same, and then look at its angles. Annika.
Scaling obtuse.
It's scaling obtuse. No side's the same, and it's got an angle in it that opens bigger than an L shape. So it's scaling obtuse. Okay, this one we have no side's the same, and then look at its angles. No side's the same, and then look at its angles. So, Lucas, what would we get? Okay, this is, so it's not L-shaped. It's a little bit smaller than an L-shape.
So acute.
Yes. And if this were your paper and you were closer to it, because that one's a little bit tricky from far away, but it's scaling acute. Yeah, all of those are acute inside it. Okay, the next one is no side's the same. And then look at its angles. Okay, no side's the same, and then look at its angles. So what would we get for that one? Hannah? Scaling obtuse, because this angle right here is bigger than a right, so it is scaling obtuse. Okay, the next one should be easy now, because all of its sides are the same, so you should automatically know that name. All of its sides are the same. Graham.
Equilateral.
Equilateral acute. We know if it's equilateral, it's acute. Okay, the next one has two sides the same, and then look at its angles. Two sides the same, and then look at its angles. Annika.
Isosceles obtuse.
Okay, obtuse, again, obtuse is not L-shaped, but it opens up bigger than that. So, like this is an obtuse angle, because it opens bigger than an L shape. Okay, this is smaller than an L shape, this is smaller than an L shape, and this is smaller than an L shape.
So isosceles acute.
Isosceles acute is correct, yes. All right, and then the last one there, we have no sides the same. Okay, no sides the same, and then look at its angles. No sides the same, and then look at its angles. Lucas.
Scaling acute.
Okay, look at this angle right here.
Scaling obtuse.
It's L-shaped.
Right.
Scaling right. Okay, scaling right. Okay, next you're just gonna need your scissors. We're gonna make something together. So I'm gonna hand you this purple sheet. And I'm gonna do it with you. So all you have to do is follow what I do, but you just need your scissors. Okay. Okay. Just get your scissors. Again, you can close your composition hook. Okay, so again, I'm gonna do this with you, so you just need to follow directions. do is you're gonna cut this out. And you need to be careful because you need to cut, like you don't wanna cut into it at all and you don't wanna give it any extra. So you just wanna cut right along the line. Okay, we're cutting out this square. So we're gonna cut, so see how I cut it? Like basically you've gotta have it pretty much perfect because we're gonna fold it in a minute and it won't fold correctly if you don't cut it like exactly on the thing. And don't worry about your scraps. I'll get them in a minute.
Are we gonna keep, avocado?
No. I'm gonna explain everything. All you have to do is just follow what I did. So we're gonna cut this out. Okay, so it's gonna look like this, just a square.